What's up, YouTube? Today we're going to be going over something that a lot of people have asked me recently, and that is to go over a cast on crit Ice Spear profile on PoE Ninja that's number 1 and seeing exactly how much cheating or what he's actually doing to be able to get so much damage, because a lot of people look on PoE Ninja and they see these cast on crit Ice Spear profiles with insane damage and think that cast on crit Ice Spear must be the number 1 build, along with cast on crit Ice Spear being extremely fun to play. Now before we start, I just wanted to go over this current character I'm on, just in case people were wondering. And yeah, this character is my Gauntlet character that I've been practicing. I will be putting out a guide for this character, how to level it, just because I do know a lot of people want to be able to get to level 90 or so pretty easily in the Gauntlet, and to be able to pick up some of those cool MTX or rewards that they may offer. And this character so far has been an absolute blast to level. It is kind of crazy how much damage Seismic Trap does. I think this character was insta-phasing bosses and act bosses literally instantly. And this was by far some of the easiest Gauntlet practice I've ever had. And it just goes to show you that maybe they should probably nerf some of these builds, right? And I have no idea how Seismic Trap ended up being like this, but overall, there's currently 2 variants of Seismic Trap, Poison and what's it called? Crit. So I'm going to be going over that in the next video, and I'll be writing out a pretty detailed guide because it will help me out in trying to figure out how exactly to level up this character. And I will be playing Poison Seismic in the Gauntlet as a Saboteur, so that's pretty much going to be set in stone. Now let's go over the number 1 811 million DPS cast on crit Ice Spear profile and see what exactly he does to get this amount of damage. So this is the guy's profile. His name is Gora's Drenched Tampon. Oh shit, interesting name. But 811 mil, it says it right there. Defenses, it's always nice to look at how actually tanky the build is. 2800 ES, not too bad, not too shabby at all. Could be a little higher, could be a little less. Armor 229, still graded as 0, not too bad. Evasion rating 559 and 8 power charges, right? So lacking a little bit on the defensive side, but still pretty strong. Not really, but it is what it is. Now, first thing you want to do to see how cheating the profile is, look at the flasks. Are they all 70% increased effect, gains no charges? And when you see this, this is what you know. This guy is trying to fool PoE Ninja. He's trying to do it. Immediately you see, no one uses all flasks like this. This just never happens. No one ever uses all 70% increased effect flasks. So next you do is you take this link, you plug it into PoE Path Ability, and what do you see? Anytime you see someone have like 10 or 15 points more than the amount of passive points they actually have, you know this guy is trying to cheat. So the way they do it is they take these 5-point clusters, and you always have to use 5 points because PoE Ninja will think that you take an extra one. Now sometimes they might not be doing it on purpose, but more often than not they probably are. So here 5 points, and they also don't take these nodes at the top. But PoE Ninja, every single time they see a cluster, they assume that you allocate every single one of these points. So where else are the rest of these points from? So it's kind of interesting to me. We're still stuck at 129 points. So it is most likely that he is not taking this node eye to eye, while they still think that he's taking this. So after we take away all of these, he should be at the right amount of points. So this is 123. So we figured it out, right? And this stuff is pretty good because this thing is literally 60% increased damage, which is insane. So next thing we look at is Supreme Ego. A lot of people like to use Supreme Ego, even though they cannot actually use it. So this is definitely a character that uses a lot of auras. So he is using Precision, Herald of Ice, Hatred, Purity of Ice, Zealotry, and let's see if there's any other ones. He's using Discipline, Summon Skitterbots, Anger, Haste. So this guy is almost like a semi-aura stacker in how many auras he's running, because he's actually running Prism Guardian. So this thing, if you take it out, he's already down to 410 million. Now the rest of this profile looks pretty accurate besides the Supreme Ego and the huge amount of points that he has. So at this point, he's probably just has really good gear, right? So let's take a look at his gear on the PoE Ninja itself, since it's a little easier to look at. So this one here is a cost breeze, and it does not have skills fires an additional projectile with Pen, which is kind of surprising because I think Pen should beat out critical strike chance. Not 100% sure about that, but either way, this is pretty standard stuff. They always use a Prism Guardian, and he has a +2, is not +2/+2, so you can see immediately this guy's gear is probably not top of the line. And we can also look right away at the Watcher's Eye. And this guy is not exactly the richest cookie in the world, because he only has a double Hatred crit Watcher's Eye. And some people who are super rich, especially with how good his gear is, or with how many auras he's running, he could definitely fight a triple bottom Watcher's Eye for himself. So he has pretty good stuff, but you can see he's not insanely rich where every single piece is mirror tier. So this day here, there is a cast on crit Ice Spear helm out there that is actually mirror tier, and this helmet just falls slightly below because it has a crafted mod on it and it has 3 life. So you can see here, this guy does not have top of the line gear. He just knows how to fool PoE Ninja really well. So he has a +1/+2, and I wonder if this is actually better than +2/+2. It probably is, because it gives you a level on Awaken Cast on Crit, which is probably pretty big for the thresholds, which is of cooldown recovery. So here he has a +1 cold, +1 skill gems. This is usually pretty standard stuff in terms of what you're trying to do to get maximum amount of Ice Spear damage, where you have +1 the skill gem level scale it really well. And there's also some dex and int. I'm pretty sure that if he had some crit multi on his amulet, it will probably be better instead of the dex, because he does have a lot of dex already, but he does need 212 dex for cost breeze to be equipped. Now his rings, he has Opal ring. This is Assassin's Mark ring, added flat lightning damage to attacks, crit multi, and cold damage against chilled or frozen enemies, and then flat fire and cold crafted, which actually adds damage to the Ice Spear too. So he has a lot of dex here too. So cost breeze mallets actually needs a lot of dex to be used, so that's why he has stacked so many. So Circle of Fear ring, he has 14% multis, +7 all attributes, and then he has the common one, which is cold damage while affected by Herald of Ice, along with Herald of Ice buff effect, which is the best combination that you can possibly have. And gloves, he's using life, Holy Strike, Unnerve, 27% increased damage during any flask effect. Now I think there's slightly better gloves out there. I think there's damage to chilled enemies, but I'm not really sure why he doesn't use it. Now this belt, usually a lot of people use Mage Blood on cast on crit Ice Spear because it helps solve the defense issues, but obviously a crystal belt of Crusader will give you a lot more damage. So this is just ES percent elemental damage, and he also has Thorns on it, 20% cooldown recovery rate, 35% spell damage, and then he crafted on 13% increased effect. So the flask probably give an insane amount of damage. If we take out the flask, it already drops him down. Holy moly, unique flasks are actually OP. It literally dropped him down from 410 mil all the way down to 118 mil. With just by removing 5 flasks, which is a lot of flasks to be fair, but that's actually insane how much damage you lose without flasks. So if they ever make a Mage Blood, a replica Mage Blood for unique flasks, and let me know down below in the comments if you would like them to do a replica Mage Blood that gives you only 3 unique flasks and makes you missing 2 flask slots. If that would be a fair idea, I do think that would be pretty cool. So now we have these boots, and these boots are their standard affair of, it's elevated tailwind, elevated onslaught with elusive. So the reason he got this is because he has cooldown recovery on the belt, so he can afford not to have cooldown recovery on both the boots and the belt. And this is accomplished because of this new mastery they have, which is +3 to level of all critical support gems. And that allows Awaken Cast on Crit to be high enough level, along with the +1 on the shafts to reach the cooldown recovery breakpoint. Now next we have to look at the jewels. The jewels are generally where you can see how good someone's gear is. So if someone has absolutely crazy gear, they will have triple multi-jewels like these. So this is like the cream of the crop you would say, of the best jewels for this build, which is crit multi of cold, crit multi for spells, and then generic crit multi, and then percent ES. So you can see he has quite a few of these. So this one is a quad multi jewel, which doesn't actually work for him because of lightning. This one is triple multi, triple multi, triple multi ES, and then triple multi, and then triple multi. So everything is pretty much triple multi except one or two. So he has really, really good jewels, and this is why his crit multi is at 783%. And this is also a big reason for why skills like Ice Spear and Elemental skills scale so well, and why Wanderers suffer so hard to get crit multi. Because Wanderers, you can only get generic crit multi. So spells, Elemental spells, and then stuff with a cold, lightning, or fire attack can get a lot more crit multi than every other build. And that's how Elemental Hit gets so much crit multi, because Elemental Hit can actually utilize quad multi jewels like, well, they could use lightning, cold, fire, and elemental, right? And generic crit multi. So next we have the, what's it called? The large clusters. And the large clusters you use is disorienting display, blanketed snow. Blanketed snow is generally the best one for everyone, but this guy probably just got like some random clusters. Blanketed snow over here. I wonder if it's actually a better split, because I do think that disorienting display is not that high amount of damage for a node. So overall, gear is pretty good, but could he do more cheating and could he get better gear? He can definitely get better gear. This person's damage is pretty much insane because he was able to make the POV and stack a bunch of more multis, and most importantly, he did the flasks, and he also crafted on increased effective flasks on the belt, and he also took full advantage of the tree to gain as many passive points as possible. Now, I do think that Cast on Crit Ice Spear is probably one of the best Cast on Crit builds, but this just goes to show you that 811 mil is good and all, but it's probably, this guy probably has better gear overall, right? Like, so there's a lot of people that could have better gear, but they just didn't decide to make an insane profile, because these people don't even have the mirror-worthy helm that some of them have. But that's going to be about it. I hope this sheds some insight into what actually scales Cast on Crit Ice Spear's damage to these insane levels. In the end, it's mostly just the sheer amount of projectiles you fire out. You get extra projectiles from Dying Sun, from your helm, and from your Cost Priest Corrupt. And you also are able to get a huge amount of multi, and you're also able to run a lot of auras, right? So I'm not really sure what's going on here. He actually seems to have too many auras, because he says he has negative 122% mana. I'm not sure if PoE Ninja actually calculates that you have every single aura in the game if you just socket in a bunch of gems. So you can see that he has way too many auras at the moment on his mana. So I'm not really sure if he can actually run all of these. And something else that people can run is Vortex, Hex Touch, Frostbite, Bone Chill. This stuff actually gives you a lot of more cold damage taken. So that's why people always put Vortex on left click. And it also chills the enemies. But overall, pretty good profile. Not perfect gear, but he was able to utilize the problems of PoE Ninja to get himself to 800 mil. So let me know down below if you want to see another skill that I do this analysis of and see how exactly they get their PoE Ninja to be so high. So let's see, what other builds are there up here that seem extremely high. Well, it's still the same guy with 117 bill, Flicker Strike, Blade Vortex. Maybe we can do the Blade Vortex one next. But thanks for watching, everyone. I will be putting out a guide about how to level in the Gauntlet with Seismic Trap after I figure it out for myself. But I hope you find more Mirrors, Exalts, and Mage Bloods than me. And see you next time. Bye.